Early childhood literacy reports were released, the tough choices to address the problem, including holding kids back in school.
We can't just keep moving kids up if they're not reading.
Welcome to Sunday Edition. New data this week shows that about half of Utah students struggle to read at grade level. Data from the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute shows that in some areas, 2/3 of students can't read proficiently. It points out that reading is a foundational skill and that the current trends, which show a steep drop in reading skills, will negatively impact students.
Students who do not read on grade level by 3rd grade are 4 times more likely not to graduate high school.
The data also makes clear that there are ways to improve student reading. The research shows, and this is interesting, fewer than 4% of students continue to struggle when they receive systematic, evidence-based instruction and targeted intervention. It's that sort of data that prompted the governor to host a literacy summit this week. He plans to propose policy changes to make reading his top priority during the upcoming legislative session. Why literacy and why now?
Well, look, literacy, it's always been about literacy, and we've known that. We've worked a couple years ago, we passed major literacy reform, and it was the first step, but it's not the last step. We're still looking at the numbers. The numbers aren't where we want them to be. Other states have figured some things out. We're learning from them, and so there's just this desire amongst teachers, educators, parents, kids to do more, and we have to do it. The science is really an important piece of this. I like to say this is a policy failure. It's one of the few areas where we actually can change it for almost every kid. Right now, we know that just under half of our students are reading at grade level by 3rd grade. We know that with the right interventions, with the right resources, with parental involvement, we can actually move that number to 98, 99% of kids. Every kid can learn how to read. They just need the right attention and the right opportunities.
So you'll be taking on some of those policies during the upcoming legislative session? Yeah,
it's exactly right. We're working with legislators. There's some things that Mississippi has done. Mississippi is really fascinating. They went from 49th in the country to top 10.
Which is surprising.
It's never happened before. And I like to tell people, Mississippi didn't change. They didn't become Massachusetts overnight. They didn't suddenly become wealthy and have a demographic change. They're still the same. They still have the same struggles they had before. But they realized that if they taught the science of reading, if they intervened at a very early age with these kids, if they got them the reading coaches and the teachers around them, that they could make a difference, and they've proven it. And so there's no reason Utah can't lead the nation when it comes to 3rd grade reading and literacy in general.
You also mentioned that they made hard choices, like 3rd grade retention for kids who aren't reading at grade level.
Yeah, they made some really hard choices, and we're looking at what that is. We can't just keep moving kids up if they're not reading. And really, we want to get upstream of this. 3rd grade is an important time, because that's when you stop learning to read and you start reading to learn. Now you can read. That's how you learn all the other subjects. But it actually starts earlier than that. It starts at home. It starts in kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and so we're going to look upstream and see, do we need to hold kids back in 3rd grade? What maybe kindergarten or 1st grade, maybe that's a better place to do it when there's less of a stigma that comes along with that. So we're trying to figure out what that is, but we can't just move kids along if they're not progressing, because it will hurt the rest of their schooling. It means they might not graduate. It means, sadly, when you look at the numbers, kids who can't read, the outcomes are pretty terrible. Our prisons are full of kids who can't read.
You mentioned several things there. Why have we seen such a sharp decline in recent years, despite a lot of efforts? What's going on?
Yeah, so the data is pretty clear that it all started around 2013 when cell phones became ubiquitous. Of course, younger kids didn't have them quite yet, but they started to get them 2012, 13, 14, 15, social media, gaming, all of the things involved with those phones and the attention it takes away from reading. Reading is incredibly exciting until you introduce a phone, and then it becomes boring almost immediately. We heard some incredible numbers today. There was one school in Kentucky where once they took phones out of the classroom, the number of books checked out of the library in 1 month equaled the amount from the entire year before. Reading becomes exciting again when you don't have that dopamine fix right in front of you all of the time that's trying to steal your attention away from you. And so we've made strides. We've gotten phones out of the classroom portion of school. The first start. We need to get them out of lunchtime and recess. Those are really important time for kids to connect, for kids to just enjoy the freedoms that come of learning in different ways. And once we do that, hopefully that will get done this year.
So you're looking at bell-to-bell.
We're looking at bell-to-bell for sure. Right now, I think the biggest challenge really has to do with parents and reading in the home. What we're seeing is a tremendous decline, not just in reading by 3rd grade, but in adults reading themselves, and adults reading to kids. And so if we can start reading then, starting those good habits, reading to our kids, it will set them up for success for the rest of their lives.
Now, as you heard the governor say, he's also pushing for a tougher ban on cell phones at schools. So let's talk about that a little bit more. He and other leaders unveiled a proposal that would prohibit phones from bell to bell. That means no phones or other devices during class time, during lunch, recess, or between class periods. The legislature will consider a bill that sets up that ban as the default policy in the state, although individual schools and districts could adopt their own standards if they wanted to. Some opponents in the past have called this government overreach, or they say it puts an unfair burden on teachers and administrators to enforce it.
It's not the school's problem. It's our problem. I'm the bad guy. He's the bad guy. And let us be the bad guys, and that's okay. And the teachers get to say, hey, I'm sorry. If it was up to me, I would let you all have your phones, but it's not up to me. And it makes it really easy to do.
In fact, he said that a lot of teachers are thanking them for considering this. It's just a proposal at this point. The bill would need to pass both the Senate and the House of Representatives before it makes it to the governor's desk. Right now, the state's default policy is that phones aren't allowed in the classroom, but they can be used at other times in school. Now, here's some good news regarding Utah's education.